Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. I'm Russ Evans along with Shannon Nordstrom.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
You can give us a call and get on the air, 866-594-4150. How you doing, Shannon?
Very, very good. And just, the automotive news just keeps on cranking. We've got so much stuff going on. The news cycles, they move so fast anymore. You can't keep up with what's happening. But I tell you, the recent news by Ram Trucks is they're making a big move. They have made a choice to extend out their factory warranty on the Ram trucks for 10 years or 100,000 miles to the original owner. And this looks like it's on 1500s, 2500s, and 3500s. And I've got to do a little more research on that. They've started putting the stuff out here in the last couple of weeks, but we've kind of went through these cycles before where you see manufacturers, I think, we saw COVID times when vehicle demand was off the charts. They started bringing warranties back a little bit. You saw things get down into the 36,000 mile drivetrain again. And there was a time where most of them were at 50,000 and then you saw a few 100,000, but Ram made a big move and they went to 10 years, 100,000 for the original owner. Now, the way they frame that, put it into perspective, I think the 100,000 is going to come first, and the 10 years is a number you can put on it that makes it look really good.
And you've seen some of those dealerships where they're advertising lifetime warranty on powertrains.
Yep.
Is that offered by the dealer and not the manufacturer?
I think a lot of times they're supplementing that with a aftermarket warranty company of some sort, and some may have developed their own in-house accounts that they do that on. To develop their own warranty company within their business if they do enough volume. I could see that happening. We've seen that happen in our industry a little bit. But I think you're just seeing a lot more offerings. But at the end of the day, though, you get that marketing out there. It's very, very important that you just always ask and understand, okay, what does this mean to me? Because I'd sure hate to have somebody come in there and saw marketing 6 months ago on a Ram truck that they were going to get a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. And then they go buy a late model used one that came in with 20,000 miles on it, doesn't get talked about a lot, and then they find out that it doesn't apply to them because it was just for the original owner. I think Hyundai Kia did that for quite a while. For the original owner, they would do a long warranty.
Right. Doesn't it only is you and you sell it. Just you didn't address that with the person who bought it, or unfortunately some people say, "Oh yeah, it's got that 100,000 mile warranty. Oh great, and I'll buy it."
So it's just something we always tell our hoodies, if you're out dealing on a vehicle and there's a warranty being presented or a claim of warranty being presented,
get the paperwork.
That's a good point to slow down and say, hey, can you explain how this works if I have a claim? Can you explain to me what is covered? What am I going to have to do if the alternator breaks? Well, the alternator is not covered. Well, what am I going to do if the transmission breaks? Well, there's a $1,000 deductible, and you didn't tell me that. Those are the things that. Now, I'm only using those examples as for instances because we've heard and seen of those sort of situations in our own dealings, whether it's Russ managing our repair shop or just dealing with customers that have came into the auto recycling facility, or our own personal experiences with family members and others in our orbit with 80 people in our business. We see a lot of stuff and hear about a lot of stuff that happens.
Yeah, read the fine print. That's the key takeaway. Read the fine print.
And it's exciting to see that they're pushing warranties out again to be competitive.
Yeah, I like it. We're going to talk to Gene in Minnesota with a 2012 Toyota. How you doing, Gene?
Oh, not too bad today. Thanks for calling.
You bet. Tell us about your car.
Well, I have a 2012 Toyota Highlander. It is a four-wheel. It isn't a four-wheel drive. It's a front-wheel drive.
Okay.
4-cylinder. And right now it's pushing close to the 100,000 miles on it.
Pretty good.
And I guess I just have some repairs that my mechanic is requesting or thinking that I probably need to do. I know last year, 2024, I replaced tires because they were cupping.
Sure.
Yeah, that's not unusual with tires. If you can get a little bit of out of alignment or a balance issue, or just tires that have been on the vehicle and they start wearing in a certain way, the cupping can occur. Air pressure can affect that sometimes, but sometimes once they start cupping, it's hard to get rid of that, and you do end up replacing the tires. So you've done tires, which is
I've done tires.
good maintenance. What do you got coming up that they're suggesting or talking about at that 100,000-mile mark?
They're recommending. Well, I mean, they're recommending like a cabin air filter replacement, but that's on my next visit, and I kind of really realize that that's necessary because at one time my car sat for a little bit, and I did have them funny little mice that loved my car.
Oh no. Yeah, the cabin air filter,
So,
when that's recommended, especially if you've never done one before that you know of, I definitely.
Oh yeah, I have.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, you definitely got to keep that fresh. Keep
Yeah.
it fresh inside.
Okay, is there an engine air filter?
Yes, that
Also?
needs to be done too.
Yeah.
Whenever that one's just whenever
So is that
it's
something
dirty.
different? That's
It is.
different, huh?
So the engine air filter's under the hood, just for the engine air, intake air, and then inside there's a cabin air filter for the cabin of the car, for the inside, the air that you breathe.
It'd be
Oh.
like your HVAC system at home, where
Oh, yeah.
you have a
Furnace filter.
furnace filter. It's like your furnace
Yep.
filter for your car, and it's for the HVAC system. Not
Okay.
every vehicle has one, but a good high majority of the vehicles built in the last 10 or 15 years have a cabin air filter that's replaceable.
Okay. All right. So those are a definite. You would do that. 'cause
Definitely,
That's
yes.
what he's recommending I should do.
Yeah,
And
and
he's
the air
also
filter.
talking.
The air filter is something that they usually inspect on it if you take it somewhere for an oil change, they typically inspect that on every oil change. And sometimes they look at it and say, you know what, this looks good. But you haven't been in a real dirty environment. This thing is, we knocked it out, knocked it around a little bit. We didn't get any dirt out of it. This thing's good to go. But there's other times they'll take it out and they'll say, where have you been? And the thing is just
Okay.
full of dirt. And it's sometimes better just to get a new one in there for sure.
Okay. Okay. Then he's saying my front brakes. He says they must be at what is it, 30 greater than is. I mean the front brakes
I
are
got you.
needing something done.
So
Yeah.
they're giving you a number, and what they're trying to say is they should be greater than a certain amount of millimeters, the pads, and they're probably under that.
Okay.
I'm not reading his sheet, so I just go off of what industry normally has. For me, there are wear devices that signal when the brakes are worn on all brake pads. When they get down to a certain point, either it turns a light on the dash, but I don't believe that your vehicle has that. It should just have they call them squeakers. They're just a little metal tab on the pad. So when they get to a part where they're going to become unsafe because they're too low, they start to squeak, because every time you apply the brakes, it rubs on the metal of the rotor and squeaks. And I tell people, when you go to the gas station and your car's got a quarter tank of gas, would you ever pump that gas out and throw it away and fill your tank with a fresh tank of gas? No, you wouldn't do that. So I tell people, why would you replace your brake pads early? It's a safety thing. If you
Okay.
want to replace them, go ahead. The car stops the same whether the pads are brand new or whether they are 95% worn out. Once the pad is gone,
Oh.
that's a problem. But that's what the wear indicator's there for. So I often will tell people that come in and say, I was told I have to have brake pads replaced all the way around. And I look at it and I say, I bet from the driving you do, I bet you're going to go another year. And quite often they go another year, but then they come back to me and have them put on because I told them, don't put them on yet. You can save some money.
How many, Russ, by your, just thinking about lots of different brake pads, how many millimeters are they typically worn down to left on the
probably
pad
3.
when the indicator starts?
This Toyota, I think it's about 3 is where they start to squeak.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably
Okay.
saying.
So
they
is that
need
why
to-
he's got 30 greater?
it probably
looks like he's
something
got
like that.
30
It probably says they're greater than 3 millimeter is what it's saying. Probably
Okay.
3.0 on there. I would guess that's probably what it is. So he might not be recommended. It might be recommended soon. I just ask him, when you ever get a sheet like that, say, how long do you think these brakes will continue to go? And they might say, well, you might get another year out of them or something. But when they get down to
Okay.
a certain point, and if you don't want to worry about them, then they're not recommending something you shouldn't do by any means. They're just saying that
Mm-hmm.
they're getting down there, and eventually
My
they're gonna
daughter
need-
just had work done out in California, and on her brakes, they said that they were at 5 millimeters on the front. I think it was
Oh.
and in that situation, the gentleman working on it said, he goes, you don't have to do them right now. He said there's still wear left on them, and
yeah, that's pretty good for that car.
and so they were able to do just the backs. And so I think it's just understanding. Russ, that example you gave of the fuel, that's a good example.
Yeah, it makes sense. You've got brake pad left. If you take them off, and let's say you had another 10,000 miles of life with the normal driving you do, mostly highway and city back and forth, you're spending over the life of a car. If you have to do 3 brake pad changes over 150,000 miles, maybe you're only going to do 2 because you went a little longer on each set.
Yeah, that's probably the question to ask is how long do I got before I hit the squeakers?
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'll ask him that. And then he also talks about he recommends a driver belt, or is there like
Drive belt?
Is there a
serpentine
belt?
drive belt.
Okay.
Yep, and what they do on
Is
the
that recommended?
Yeah, what they do on the serpentine drive belts, and my daughter, I'm just going off what she just had happen.
100,000 miles.
The mechanic, her car was a 4-cylinder BMW, sport utility, a little one, an X3, and the mechanic who I found by talking to other parts stores out there, because I didn't know anybody out where she's at in California, and he found a really good guy, and he said, I just got to tell you, the drive belts, it's on there now, but there is a lot of cracking on the back side of the belt. And he goes, and it's starting to chalk a little bit when I rub my finger on it. And he said, I would replace it right now. And that's all I needed to hear.
He'll break it down. And like her car, it's 13 years old, 100,000 miles. It's time to replace it.
Yep.
If it's
you don't want that coming off, because that'll take your air conditioning away. Most likely your power steering in that model. And in many vehicles, you lose the water pump and you can cook the engine. And so that's a very, very, very important thing.
All right.
Okay, so that's kind of a number one thing, along with those air filters and different things.
I think that the drive belt or the brakes to me would be the number. I would take that. If he's saying the drive belt looks like it's got a problem, I would do that, and then just get your measurements on the brakes, and you can make that decision. And the filters are good maintenance at regular intervals throughout the life.
Thanks for the call, Gene.
Is there anything else that you can recommend for the doggone? Sometimes those rodents that get in there, because I always worry about the dumb rodents in there.
You can use Mouse Out. It's a product supplied by NHOU, New Hampshire Oil Undercoating. If you go to the internet and search NHOU Mouse Out, you'll find that. It's a spray-on, and it'll tell you exactly how to use it on their website, and it greatly helps at repelling mice.
Okay, so that would be great, because I have a garage, but it's not it's detached from my house, and it's just a kind of a covering garage. It's not a fancy one at all. So
never hurts. Thanks for the call, Gene.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you very much for your help. Bye now.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on Under the Hood, 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show with Russ. That's me. With Shannon. That's him.
Me. And I agree on that duct tape.
Chris, he's on his way in. He was at Miracle Treat Day this morning doing his live gig on another radio station. Trader. No, but it's good, though. It's okay today because normally he breaks for us, but today we'll let him go. Miracle Treat Day is a benefit for the Children's Miracle Network. They are raising money. They have raised millions. Now, they just celebrated that for the children. This is all done through Dairy Queen. So if you don't have a Miracle Treat Day in your area, well, talk to your Dairy Queen about it, because there's different ones around the country, but they try to outsell each other. And there's one here that is in Madison, South Dakota, and about 40 miles from us, something like that. They are the top seller in the nation. And they literally sell thousands of them a day, more than you could push through a drive-through normally with the machine. So what they do is they pre-make them, and you really can't tell the difference. They're still a delicious blizzard, but it's amazing what they do with that. And I tell you what, you would think there'd be more of them in places that are really hot, like maybe South Florida, Texas, something like that. But here we are in South Dakota.
Yeah, Chris has got such a passion for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. He has, at the home station that he does his morning show with Chris and Doc, they do the telethon where they've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know the number, but he could tell us exactly. But he's gotten to know a lot of the families and a lot of the kids that are involved in some really hard health situations and what they're going through. And he's got a lot of passion for it. I know this is the first time this year he's also bringing out, usually he brings treats to us, but he's bringing out flats of treats for our staff here too.
A crate?
He's bringing out 90 blizzards today
90.
to bring out to our staff. So I don't know how he's going to manage that, but he's got 90 blizzards, and I think he's bringing a few for us, Doug. Doug's saying, I hope so.
Yeah. So if you don't know, here at the End of the Hood Show studios, we're on the top floor of our complex out here in the middle of, it's not really the middle of nowhere anymore. It's growing pretty fast, but we've got, there's like 80 plus employees out here. It's quite the operation. A lot of stuff going on with cars. We're fixing them for you on the radio, like we're going to do right now. We're going to go talk to Terrell in Mississippi with a 17 Sorrento. How you doing, Terrell?
Doing good. How you doing?
Pretty good.
All right. All right. Yeah. I got the 2017 Sorrento. Got a turbocharge on it. The problem we having, it runs fine. No codes to speak of. No. When you shut it off, it won't shut off. It just keep running. You take the key out the ignition. We have to unplug the ignition switch, and it just keeps running. You hit the gas. It's electric car, so it doesn't do anything. But just hours. You turn the key back on, it'll just keep going.
Is that a key with a turbo? It's probably a push button vehicle, not a key button or key.
A key, yeah.
It's got key start, not a push button.
Right.
Ooh.
Okay.
Keeps on going when you unplug the ignition, and you've checked under the dash. There's no remote start in this car, right? It doesn't have wires hooked onto that ignition switch further on down or into the body control module.
Now, as far as I know, it's clear.
Okay.
It just keeps on running quietly, just as good. Doesn't miss anything.
And there's nothing plugged into the. Check the data port real closely to make sure that behind where you're plugging in, that they don't have some wires tapped into that, because some of these cars, the remote starts, they don't need to tie into the big wires of the ignition anymore. They tie into the data wires, and it just tells the car to start like a push button start car, because this car could have been any way from the factory to do that. So I would check that to be sure. And then if there's nothing there, look at the scan tool data and look at the ignition status, the on and off and the voltage, and see what you have. Sometimes it'll set a code if it's a ignition relay sticking. Other times it won't. This car might have a bad PCM or BCM in it, one of the two. I'd have to look, and we've never had this happen on this type of car, so I'd have to look and see which one's got control of that, of keeping it going. Sometimes it's a BCM, seeing the ignition status and keeping that PCM running for the engine computer, powertrain control module, and the body control module runs it. But okay. I've had this with other cars. Chevy Colorado, the body control module, the BCM, has active control of the PCM, the powertrain control module, and you'd pull the ignition key out, unplug the switch, and it would keep running because the BCM was still saying, nope, the ignition's on, don't turn off. It wouldn't start the car on its own, but it was saying the ignition was on, so don't turn it off. And then we'd unplug the BCM, and it would shut down. You plug it back in, then you had to start it with the key, and then it would do it again, but not all the time. It would do it about every third try or so. And
I remember that mess you were chasing.
Yeah, it was driving me nuts. And then when I found it, I was like, oh, this makes sense. If it came in again today, I'd probably forget about it even after this call, because you tend to forget more than you learned at some point. But I would give that a shot. Look at the body control module. Look at the data on that stuff. Look at the data on the body control module and the engine, and see if it shows something is off and it's still running. Because for sure, if it says that the ignition is off at the BCM and it's off at the powertrain control module and it's still running, you got a module that's bad, because it says that it's off, but it's not. It's still got power coming out of the output of it.
But this would be after you do a close inspection of that wiring, just to make sure somebody hasn't put some sort of aftermarket accessory up underneath that dash that's causing things to go wonky.
That's not good.
That could sure do it.
Does that help you out a little bit, Terrell?
Oh, yeah, okay. So while I was doing this, I just unplugged the PCM or PCM, whatever, and it should, if that's it should kill it then.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if you plug it right back in and it'd still be off. Look at the data when you plug it back in and see if it says off. Because if it's on and then you unplug it, plug it back in and it says off, yeah, something's going on with that computer. Something in there.
Okay.
All right, man. Thanks for the call.
All right. I appreciate it.
Take care. Man, that's nuts. Those things can drive me nuts sometimes when I'm working on cars. I'm like, we had one the other day, put an engine in it, got done with it, started acting all wonky. We're like, what is going on with this thing? And 2 days of driving it, figuring out, I'm like, why is the traction control light coming on? And I skipped the obvious, of course. And I looked up in the mirror and it fixed it. You know what I saw in the mirror? The 2 brand new tires in the back seat. So I got out and I looked at the vehicle. The front tires, the end we were working on, they were brand new. Never noticed the ones in the back. So then all of a sudden, no back tire. Yeah, the back tires were bald. Front tire were brand new. We had the battery disconnected for a week, hooked it back up. The ABS computer assumed that it had 4 equal tires on the car. It did not. So it was acting like it was going into traction control.
Oh, my.
So it finally straightened itself out, and then we got the tires. So, all right, everybody, 866-594-4150. Chris Carter's on his way with our treats. Yum. And we'll be back on the way with your calls. See you in a minute.
3 friends talking cars. You decide if they know what they're talking about.
2 right now.
This is
2?
Under the Hood.
Yep. Welcome back to the Under the Hood Show. I'm Russ Evans, along with 2, Shannon Nordstrom.
Yes, 2 of us here today. Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up. But the 3rd is coming.
He's on his way.
And we told him that he could come late as long as he brought enough treats for everybody.
Miracle Treat Day.
Yes, so he brought treats for us along with 90 of them for our staff downstairs too. That I don't know who fights over the other 10 or so, but we'll there could be some selection that has to go on with the flavors that we pick. So we'll see how that all goes.
I don't know. I'll bring a couple back for my guys. They'll be happy. Happy. Speaking of happy, I'm happy when the phone rings. So we're just gonna jump over here and talk to Ron. How you doing, Ron?
Good. How are you today?
Oh, we're awesome. We're getting free treats. We're
Good.
having a good day.
We get those 2 today.
All right.
So looking forward to it. I got a 2022 F350. Long story short, I went up north for a fishing trip this weekend, pulled into a gas station, filled up with gas, got back in my truck, does not recognize the key.
Uh-oh.
Ford dealership right across the road. The kid comes over and asks me if he wants me to call the Ford guy. And I know there's a place in the council somewhere to put the fob so it starts. But couldn't find it. The guy was over there pretty quick and put it in the holder there and nothing. Still didn't recognize the key. So they called the maintenance manager over there. He come over and looked at it. He goes, I never heard of that happening. He goes, let's try it again. So it did it again, nothing. And they said they're over there about 3 times a week getting Ford started to get out of their gas station because of the interference from the sign. So he goes in and shuts the sign off, pickup starts right up, and drive away.
Oh my goodness.
But it would not recognize it in the holder. So then I go up to Mobridge, go into the gas station to get ice. I'm sitting in the truck, wife runs in the gas station to get ice, and it comes up as no key detected. Well, the truck's still running. And I put it in gear. Oh, it came back and recognized it, so I put it in gear right away so I could at least get away from there. And so she gets back in. We drive down the road, and it finally comes back as key detected. But the Ford dealership's right across the road. It was about 6:30, and a kid come walking out. So I asked him, I said, if he worked there and stuff. And I said, have you ever seen anything like this? He goes, yeah, we're down at that gas station about 3 times a week getting Fords out of there. He said it has something to do with their sign. But he said he had it happen in their wash bay one time. And as the car was sitting there, there's 4 antennas in the roof of the truck. And he said they ended up replacing them, and I took care of it.
You've got antennas in the roof and the doors. You got them all the way around because that's how it knows which key, whether it's key 1 or key 2, and whether it's inside the car or outside. If you notice, if you're standing just outside the driver's door, you can't start the truck. You have to be inside the door. So it's like an invisible dog fence. And they're pretty sensitive.
Okay.
And yes, they can be affected by radio interference. And that's a Ford problem. It's not a sign problem. They need to better isolate and protect their vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even get away. Well, thank God the kid knew to shut the sign off. Well, we sat there an hour. Finally the kid shuts the sign off, the thing pops right off and goes. And now I got to make sure.
Yeah, once the store closed, it was fine. I drove away.
Oh my goodness, what a thing!
So,
what a thing for
don't rob a store. Don't rob a store with an LED sign in a Ford. You'll never get it.
It's the kryptonite. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I did drop it off at Sioux Falls Ford. And of course, do this hard reset. I did the hard reset, made sure the battery was up, put the charger on that. Took the battery out of my fobs and stuck them in the holder, and it still does not recognize.
That's not going to. Yeah, that won't help when you're when you've got that interference. If anything, it's going to make it worse because now it's going to see the interference and lose that original signal. They just got to come up. Hopefully, they'll come up with something.
My dad's got an F-150, and my brother's got a 350 and a 150, and he ordered his last one with the key just because of this problem. But my dad says he goes all over Sioux Falls, he can't get it started. But as soon as he puts the key in that holder, it'll take it off. Take off.
Yeah, that helps because it just gives it a stronger signal. But there are places that this won't work. Avoid, I don't know how big the truck is, but if you're going to park in a parking ramp, avoid some parking ramps because if you don't know where the electrical's going, I know there's one in Sioux Falls that still has an issue because of where they ran the electrical and the transformer into the hospital. If you park certain kind of vehicles over this area, there's a conduit right underneath the floor in the second level, and your car won't start. As soon as it's pulled off of there, it'll start right up. It's the electromagnetic interference coming off of the thing. I'm wondering if your vehicle, if you pulled up and parked under a high tension wire somewhere, even at a restaurant where you've got the voltage, the wires going over the top of the building, that may not start there either, because I've had a number of people write in and say they couldn't get their vehicle started.
There's a lot of people listening out here right now that are saying, honey, that's what it was.
Yeah. We towed it out of the ramp three times.
We weren't crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it worth bringing in a Ford stick? They couldn't give me a price of what it's going to cost to fix it. But
no, but it is worth.
Is it worth?
I don't think they can fix it because there's no update for it until they come up with a bulletin that has an update, probably with different transmitters and different antennas. I would think is what's going to enter a wireless module. That they're not going to be able to fix this. There are other cars that are not interfered by this, so that including Ford vehicles. But it is something that so all you people listening out there, if you got a vehicle with this problem, you need to go to the NTSB website, the Traffic Highway and
National
Traffic
Safety Board.
You need to go there, and there's a place where you can click on it to contact us, send them your situation. It's not safety as far as the vehicle shuts down on the road, but it is safety if you're stranded and you can't get your car started, because if your car were to be shut off, and let's say you're in a very cold, extreme climate, or you need to move that vehicle for safety and it won't restart, that is a problem. So that could be a safety issue. So make sure you word it and say, I believe this is a safety issue because I can't start the vehicle and get where I'm going. It's causing a danger. And once they get enough, and it doesn't take very many, but once they get whatever their magic number is, they'll look into it and they'll see if it's something worth doing. But if nobody writes in and just says, well, I spent some money, had Ford check it out, and nothing's done, nobody's going to take care of it. But if they get enough, they'll open up a file on it and try to do something.
And who is that? Who do we contact on that?
National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. It's
NHTSA.
NHTSA. It's online on the internet. It's easy to find when you type it in. Even if you spell it wrong, it'll pop up.
And once again, Ford might have done step one to try to do a reset. I mean, they're going to.
And they may come up with a bulletin yet, because you're not the first person to have this. So they may come up with something, and it may be a free repair or it may be some kind of a cost, but at least it'll be a repair at some point.
Well, that's just it. I'm 5 months out of warranty.
Yeah.
But my truck sits all the time. I only use it. I hardly ever use it. So I'm sure I've had this problem before warranty was up.
Well, and you've got family with it too. So
$1,000.
Yeah, and it could just be a design issue, or it could be that in that particular, if there's other people with the same model truck and not all of them have it happen, it could just be a problem with shielding on a wiring harness that isn't quite proper, or maybe the units themselves that are leaking some interference into them because they're not shielded properly in that area. That there's some research that I'm sure somebody's doing somewhere if they keep getting reports. If we've got one dealer in South Dakota or two different dealers in South Dakota that are both telling you that they're at that gas station multiple times in a week for this same type of problem, That's got to be hitting the radar somewhere.
Yeah.
If not,
But-
that's why
but
somebody
the only thing-
needs to report it.
But the only thing they're doing is showing the people where to put that key.
Yeah, no, that's because that's all they know. They haven't been told by the manufacturer that
Right.
there's any fix
Absolutely.
for it. So.
But that manager at Highmore says that works every time. They put the key in there, starts up the driveway, no problem.
Well, obviously, it's not working every time.
Yeah, right. But I will say I could start it with my Ford Pass, but I still couldn't put it in gear.
Oh, interesting.
Yep, exactly, because that's going through the antenna a different way. So, all right, thanks for the call. Hope we helped some people out with that one.
We might have scared a bunch of people.
All right.
Is what we might have did.
All
right.
right, thank you.
866-594-4150. I see Chris in the hall. Look at that. Doug's not eating without us. What a nice, swell guy. Are you skipping today? Oh. Yeah, I see that. Take care, everybody. We'll see you in just a second.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
That voice you're hearing is the sweet tones of Chris Carter.
Let's get off of me. Let's go right to John.
You
John?
can always come late
Yeah.
if you bring blizzards.
Okay.
It's totally permitted.
It is a fine trip to take and then come in and hand out those blizzards and make sure everybody knows they're coming. It's pretty great.
Yeah, you feel. Is it okay if we eat this while we're?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, today it's fine.
It's for the kids.
It's for the kids. Let's talk to John. You're on the Under the Hood Show. John, what can we do for you?
Well, I'm working on a 04 Duramax LB7, and it's got a little bit of an odd issue. When it's running, it runs perfect. The only way to get it to start is to give it just the slightest bit of starting fluid. And then it runs perfect. Otherwise, cranking, watching it on the scan, I'm getting about 190 RPM, and the fuel pressure will only achieve about 650 after cranking about 10 seconds. I know it needs about 1450 to fire the injectors. And it was actually at a shop and had a 3-man injection pump in it already, and after that didn't fix it, they recommended new injectors. So I'm just trying to cross some things off the list. It's just the symptoms are a little bit odd.
It sounds like if you're not building the correct pressure, it sounds like you could have a sensor problem too, because if the sensor is failing, that fuel pressure sensor, the rail pressure sensor is failing within its range, it won't allow it to fire. It won't engage and go. So it could be a false reading. You wouldn't know unless you had a mechanical gauge on it to be sure where that rail pressure sensor goes. So it could be that it's getting the right pressure and it's just not allowing it to, the pump's not opening the injectors because it doesn't think it's building the proper pressure yet. But it could also be that pump is bad, because a lot of these trucks had problems with the fuel systems, with metal in the pump. When that pump would fail, you would get trash and contamination in the system, and you put another pump on it and have that same problem immediately. But with yours, the way it is where it runs perfect as soon as it starts and it's got good power and everything, I'd almost bet you might have a sensor issue with that. And it's just not reading correctly. It doesn't know what the pressure is. Of course, as soon as it fires, use some starting fluid and it fires, RPM gets up above a point and it pushes that pressure up pretty quick. I bet if you watch that scanner, as soon as it does fire, it immediately goes up to the higher pressure. What if you shut it off right away? As soon as it starts, you let it run a minute, shut it off. Can you start it immediately right after that?
I went out and drove it for about 20 miles, and I was watching requested versus actual fuel pressure. And I mean, it was always like right there within 40 pounds
Right.
fluctuating.
But what about a
And
restart?
I pulled in the driveway, shut it off, and I instantly tried to restart it, and it will not restart.
Okay. And what did the fuel pressure say then? Same thing? Low?
Yep. It hovers right around that 650 mark. The the first 4 seconds of cranking, you're only seeing about 450, and then after about 10 seconds, you see 650 on.
I would really I'd check that sensor to see if that sensor's not right. It might be more accurate at higher pressures, but it might be bad at low pressure. I just check that from some of the weird stuff I've seen before. Some of those things say, oh, that can't be it, but then we've found things with trial and error before and went, oh, okay. So you might give that a shot and just
Yeah.
take a look at it.
On the low end, and I obviously it's not in the diagnostic table, but online I did read that some people said just unplug it, it might ignore it.
Right.
And
Well, you got to
start-
unplug it, turn the key on and off a couple times to get it to read that it's failed, and then see if it fires up.
Okay.
Give that a shot.
One other thought was possibly the fuel pressure relief valve, which I know is a common failure if it's a truck that's all, tuned and higher fuel pressures and everything. But this one looks like it's completely stock.
Oh, they'll fail. They'll fail stock too, and they'll bleed fuel off at the lower pressure. But you get a little more pressure behind them, they'll go. It's kind of like a tire that leaks when it only has 10 pounds in it. The valve leaks a little bit, but if you get 35 pounds in it, it's got enough pressure to push that Schrader valve closed. Kind of works that same direction, so it might be leaking at lower pressures.
But you think you'd most likely refire quickly.
Yeah.
Well,
we replace that valve every time we put a pump on one. We replace that valve and clean the fuel system out, flush the fuel system, tank, lines, new valve, new pump, new injectors. We did all that because we didn't want an issue with it.
Because there's more than likely metal been through the system at that point.
And even if the part's good, we didn't want any trash that was in that part within it to come out of it.
Mm-hmm. And this does have a fast fuel system on it,
Sure.
which I was struggling a little bit to get that to function properly and push fuel up to the filter. I think I have that part of it figured out now.
You better be for sure. That's the most important part, is that you've got good, clean fuel at the right pressure up to the pump.
Yeah, and speaking to fast, they said, well, if our pump fails, it's a flow-through design. It should not affect starting. But, again, if this thing had, I know the filter heads are very common for having a vacuum leak and getting air in the fuel, and I was none of that looks like it was ever replaced. But at that point, I was thinking,
did you take the bleeder valve loose on the top of the filter? You turn that bleeder valve, open it up a little bit, and turn that fast pump on. Normally, you can't do that. You have to push the primer bulb down. But if you open that little valve and you hit that bypass on that pump to run it, you should get clean fuel out of there. If it's puking air out of that thing, it's got an air leak. There should be no air in it.
Now I am getting to the point where initially the fast pump was not pushing fuel up through that bleeder screw.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think the fast pump itself was actually airlocked. And whoever put the injection pump on it did put new filters on the fast pump. And the truck did drive like 700 miles after all that work was done. But it just won't restart unless you give it a very small shot of ether.
Well, yeah, that's just to get it past that initial start phase. Yeah, check the pressure relief valve, PRV, and check the sensor too. That's a good place to start.
And we always say, go where the humans were and double check everything.
Yep.
Yeah, everything that got touched or changed, check it to make sure it didn't get touched or changed incorrectly. John, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Oklahoma and talk to Jay. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Jay, what can we do for you?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I've got a 2007. It's a 2500 Dodge Ram diesel. It's a 6.7. But just wondering, what would be the normal temperature range for a truck that
Engine?
age? Yes.
just cruising around on a day outside where you're down there. Let's say it's 90 degrees outside, pretty humid. It's probably going to run around that 200 range. Could run 200 to 210, depending on how fast you're going down the highway, things like that. Most of the time,
Well, it just seems.
Where at?
I'm sorry. Well, it just seems like it's, over the years, it's run warmer and warmer.
It will.
I hit a cow a few months ago and had, radiator and everything replaced, and I had them, change out the thermostat then. And I thought, well, maybe that'll get it back to, because, pulling the trailer down the road full of cattle, even back when it was new, it never got to that 210 mark.
Right. It'll stay under that.
you know.
It'll stay about 205 or so. Pulling is normal on those. But as they start to age, they'll get a little warmer because the radiator will lose its efficiency and the block will lose its efficiency. You'll get scale buildup in there, and it doesn't transfer heat quite as well. Shouldn't overheat, but it'll definitely be a little warmer than when it was new.
Did they put a fan clutch and a fan blade both on it?
Honestly, I don't remember on the clutch, but yes, we had two on the fan. More than likely we did, but I
Sure.
don't even remember.
Yeah,
If
good
we
fan clutch is
did.
important on those too. And it might be just wearing with age.
What's it running at now?
Well, when it's loaded with a gooseneck trailer, it's going to get up over that 210 mark, and it'll kick in the fan. You can hear everything engage, but it's just like, and I've only got like 260,000 miles on it. It's not like it's just crazy mileage, but just wondering what you guys have seen over the years with the.
Yeah, you want to make sure
truck.
you got plenty of airflow in there, but pulling down the road, we'll see them run. They can get on a good hot day, Oklahoma day down there. You could push that thing at 220. I could see it getting up that hot. I mean, you like them cooler the better, but they start like mine. If it gets at 210, start getting nervous because it'll jump real quick.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I know. Same with when my temp gauge on my car back in the day.
Oh, you were asking me about that all the time, but yours is
Yeah.
okay sitting in traffic at a stop sign and a gas engine to hit 230, 232 sometimes. And some of these new
Freak me
cars,
out.
they have a 235-degree thermostat in them. That's for emissions. I mean, they're designed that way on purpose, but it's got to be built that way. Diesel's a different thing.
Yeah.
You want to keep it cool. You got an exhaust temp issue. You want to make sure those exhaust temps stay down, all that thing. You got to look. But, around that 210 mark, I'm not too nervous with that Ram yet, but you definitely want to keep it clean. There is a couple products you can get for your cooling system. None of our sponsors sell them, but you can put in the cooling system to clean out some of that scale. Look for that. Ford makes one. I can't remember what it's called right now, but they make a product to clean out theirs. Cummins makes a product to clean out theirs. It'll descale that engine and the radiator and help keep it cooler. Look for that.
Do you have to keep brand specific on that or not?
It's just one they make. I think it comes right from Cummins, but you pour it in there and then you run it for like 15 minutes. You drain it, flush it, and then you put a neutralizer in there with the coolant to keep it from chewing stuff away.
If you had an immediate change after your accident when they put the brand new radiator and most likely all the coolers, the air conditioning, all that was probably smashed in, and now all of a sudden you're running warmer than you were before the accident with the new radiator, I would look at what kind of radiator they put in there and make sure it's the right efficiency. And maybe they didn't use a factory radiator.
Or a Kappa certified one.
Yeah, you might want to double check that.
Jay, thanks very much for the call. Hour 2 is coming up. That's hour 1 of the Under the Hood Show. 866-594-4150.
You're listening to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics, Shannon Nordstrom and Russ the Super Tech Evans. Shannon is an ASE engine and parts specialist, and Russ is an ASE Master Certified Technician with extensive factory drivability training. The Under the Hood Show is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value and as a guide to your repair needs. No guarantee to repair or cause is given or implied. Always check with your favorite certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting repair. The Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics is reproduced and distributed by Prairie House Productions. Have questions for the Motor Medics? Call our 24-hour toll-free number, 866-594-4150. All content of the Under the Hood Show is the property of Nordstrom's Incorporated. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive and may be reproduced with our permission. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. Can I just pull back the curtain for just a second?
Yeah.
I brought in blizzards
Yeah, you did.
for this show because the day we're doing it is Miracle Treat Day with Dairy Queen. So I brought in blizzards for you guys. And it's very funny to see, and this is something that was kind of on our video feed, but when you have a blizzard in front of you and you're on the radio, when you aren't talking, like we have a caller asking a question or something, and you realize, oh, I have time here to take some bites of this blizzard.
And they're crunchy.
It looked like I was watching a fast video of you eating that blizzard because he was in the middle of talking to the caller.
He's pointing to Shannon.
And you were trying to get your blizzard, and it was funny
And
watching.
I'm a fast eater when I go at it too.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. And then I saw it switch when you were talking at the end there. He quick.
Well, I was trying to give him a chance.
Yeah.
I felt like kind of a hog. I'm over here, "Arr," and I wanted to give Russ a chance to get some bites in.
I'm turning my headphones down going,
Yeah.
is that coming through the mic or is
Because
that in my...
you're looking at it, it's sitting there. You're like, oh, it's melting.
I can take one more.
This is gonna melt pretty quick. I gotta eat this.
Now. I did the same thing this morning when I was on the other show, and now I know what it looked like. It's pretty fun to watch. It was just fun. It was like, and I almost wanted to get your attention, but I didn't want to stop you because
Okay.
you were getting it piled in.
Before we take the calls here, just as quick as we can, because we mentioned this in hour one. How many dollars have been raised? Because you know these numbers like a little bit, right?
I know that Miracle Treat Day in our area for Sanford Children's Hospital, Miracle Treat Day itself has raised $2.6 million for the hospital.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah,
Wow.
as far as our radio station, it's over $1 million, but I don't know exactly when.
I heard somebody announce just on the break when we were in between, because we can hear our station locally and you can't. They said we're celebrating just passing $1 million. So that must have been the station.
No, that's Madison, South Dakota.
Oh my gosh.
Dairy Queen. They will
That's
pass $1 million.
We talked about them.
Yeah, they will pass $1 million this year. Unbelievable. They
Unbelievable.
they sell tens of thousands of blizzards on Miracle Treat Day.
Well, and just to peel back the onion a little bit further, when you guys do the telethon or the telethons that you've
radiothon,
done,
yep.
radiothons, how many dollars have you raised on radiothon?
That's where we're at. I remember when we went over $1 million, and it wasn't this year. It was a year or more ago.
So you're quite a bit over $1 million raised with the radiothon
Quite a bit, yeah.
you guys do. That is just a very, very amazingly awesome, impressive.
It's the only good thing I do. I always say it's the only.
You're hard on yourself.
It's the only. No. I don't do bad things. In general, I don't do any good things either. I just kind of don't. But that one is the only one. Every year, I know I'm going to do one good thing at least.
I think that makes up for a lot.
Totally. It's not. And I'm not. It doesn't offset because I'm starting from zero. I think. I mean, I don't think I'm dipping below the line very often.
I think everybody can measure their contribution of success to something in different levels, and it's all good. You know, there's somebody that helped somebody right now alongside the street that needed help, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
and that was good.
I don't
And
do
what
that.
you just do is awesome too. It's all awesome.
I just put it all in one.
Yeah,
one
slam
weekend.
it all together.
Yeah. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Billy in Minnesota. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Billy, what can we do for you?
How are you today? You guys are pretty good. I like your show.
Thanks.
I think you help a ton of people, and sounds great on the miracle stuff that you raise money for.
Cool. Thank you
Anyways,
very
I got
much.
an '06. I got an '06 Yukon XL 8.1. It has dual tanks, dual pumps, and I replaced one of the front, the main pump. And my question is, how does this two pump system work? And the reason why I ask is, it runs out of gas at a quarter tank, and it overflows at 3/4 of a tank. Is it because I didn't replace the secondary auxiliary pump? But I also replaced that vacuum canister that's, back connected to the bumper system. Trying to solve this problem of why it runs out at a quarter tank and wants to act like it's overflowing at 3/4. Is that when it decides to go to the auxiliary pump? And does that mean my auxiliary pump is out? Now I'll let you guys diagnose that for me.
Well, the one that's overflowing, that pump should be out because there's a pump in each tank with a check valve in each one. So when one pump is on in one tank, it's pushing pressure against the valve in the other tank in the pump and also supplying it to the engine. There's no switching valve in the system. It's just like an old Ford that had this same type of system. You got two pumps and both of them have a check valve in it, and then you've got a third leg of this triangle going to the engine. So if one pump's on, fuel goes up to the engine, the other pump's on, fuel goes up to the engine, but it's also pushing back against the other pump. And if that has got a weak valve in it, it's filling up that tank with fuel. So that can't happen. It's got a fuel sending unit in each tank, a float that goes up and down, and then a module back there. And that module reads the amount of fuel in those tanks, and it's called a balance module, and it balances it out, and it runs one pump or the other pump as needed in order to fill it up. The earlier models, they would run out, I think it was the rear tank, they would run that till it got down to about a quarter, and then it would shut off and switch to the front, so that if you saw that your gauge at that, and it doesn't start moving on the gauge until, that back tank was down to about a quarter.
Does it look like it looks at the total gallons of fuel in a sense for the gauge?
And then it would see the front, so it would read off the front to the gauge, and once that thing got down so far, then you knew, okay, I got to fill up the front and I fill up the back. But then I think it went to a balance after that where you're putting about the same amount of fuel in either one, but the one tank's smaller than the other. But yeah, it sounds like you've got a pump a pump is bad. So the one that is overflowing is usually the one that's got the bad check valve in it because it's unable to keep the fuel out of that tank. It's coming in when the other pump's turned on. So it probably needs that pump replaced. Because most people think, I need to
replace
the other one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you were going to replace the one on the other tank.
I was going to replace them both, and I just didn't that day. They're not cheap, you know what I mean? And they're quite a bit of work. And the secondary one's underneath the tire, which always has that cable issue, so they don't release very good to get your tire down on these old trucks.
No.
So.
Well, and for people,
for
people listening with this vehicle, it was built from the factory. It's a 2,500 vehicle. It's 3/4 ton or whatever you want to call it. And since it's got such a fuel efficient engine in it with an 8.1 liter, they decided that they needed two fuel tanks.
Right.
This thing is there. What do you get for fuel economy when you're driving normal with this thing? Can you get double digits?
Oh yeah, all day long. I get about 12.9. Sounds like a champ. I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm an older gentleman. I've been driving four-wheel drive since about 1981, so I've never got good gas mileage.
So you're used to it.
So 12, yeah.
Well, there's kind of an industry standard. I don't know if it's unwritten or written. I haven't seen it anywhere, but they aim for a certain amount of miles per tank.
Range.
Your range.
Yeah.
So your Prius, Chris, with a 8-gallon tank, maybe it's 400 miles.
Right.
Your Grand Safari station wagon with a 400 engine and whatever might have a 32-gallon tank and hit 400 miles. This guy's truck with 50 gallons of fuel might hit 400 miles. I mean, they go by, let's all go the same, because people get in different cars and they expect to go the same amount of miles. even though they have to fill it up. And some will go a little further. Some will get 650 miles out of a tank if they're on the highway and driving perfectly. But most of the time, you're seeing about 400-ish on range.
And the reason I brought up my little statement there was most people don't have to worry about a dual tank.
Right.
This is something that's unique to this vehicle.
Billy, thanks for the call. That is, yeah. And what I loved was you saying, "Can you get double digits?" Oh yeah, all day. I can get like 12.
Yeah. And if he hooks a trailer to it, he's going to be
that's 30%.
6, 7.
Let me ask you this: between this show and all of the people I've known in my life that had dual tanks, which admittedly was a long time ago, are there dual tank systems that just work on a vehicle? Because I've never heard of one.
No, most of them just work.
That's what I was thinking. But on
you only
this
hear
show,
about the ones that don't, because you don't hear about them unless they're not working.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
here's where you go to hear about them not working.
And it seems like we fought with them all the time on the Ford pickups my dad rebuilt.
Oh, yeah, that's
73.
Those were junk.
73, 4, 5, whatever year I think 75.
It was because they went to when they went away from a real switching valve, they didn't work because the Chevrolets that had a switch valve, they always worked. They seem to. But those Fords, when they went to that check valve system like he has, they bleed over to the tank. You're going on the road, you're seeing fuel coming out the side. And they did a safety recall because some of them would, woof, off they go. So they said, we're going to put on those free little check valves that snapped in. And I wish I had some of those around because I could use them on some other stuff.
Forgot about that.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. The phone number to reach us, 866-594-4150.
When all else fails, get a bigger dead blow hammer.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Brett. You're on the Under the Hood show. Brett, what can we do for you?
Yeah, morning. Say, I got my son's fiance has got a 2017 Nissan Rogue.
And it needs a
They're
transmission.
having some performance issues like transmission. Throwing a P0776, which says that the pressure control solenoid B is the most common error for that or problem.
Yeah, and it'll need a
Just
transmission.
wanted to get your opinion if that's what you would think too, or any other ideas, and how bad of a job is that?
It's a good test for a marriage and a father-in-law. This is perfect.
I'm going to bet money it's going to need a transmission because that solenoid doesn't typically go bad. It's the trash in the transmission from the transmission going bad that causes that to go bad. And then you got to replace the entire valve body to do it.
I have a question. Brett, do you know Russ personally?
Does he?
I don't think so.
Okay. Because when that came up, you saw the year and the vehicle, and you're like, he's going to need a transmission.
Going to need a transmission. Because we do so many of them in this and the Sentras we're starting to get more of. But I tell you, that Rogue, it's a super popular car. People love it. We have never done an engine in one. They just go and go and go. But transmissions, I could just stack them up in the corner and be selling them all day long.
Is the problem that will be so, Brett, you're
and not everyone goes bad. I've got some of these that come in. I got customers with 200,000 miles, which I'm shocked that they do, which just tells me not everyone goes bad. But that CVT, you better be changing that fluid.
There's some, and there also has been campaigns put out because of pressure from class action suits.
Yeah.
And so certain Nissan models, they have extended the warranties out longer. How many miles are on this one?
I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Is it closer to
Yeah,
200,000 or 100,000, you think?
I bet it's 76.
Closer to 100?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what year range they've started doing some of that stuff, but you might double check with
I check everyone that comes up on my bulletin list just to be sure. And I think I've had one that was.
Does that work if you bought the car a month ago too?
Yeah.
On those? Okay.
Yeah, it's whoever.
Okay.
On those, I believe.
it's on the vehicle by VIN number, not by
Okay.
owner.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
As long as it's never been in a total loss collision.
Brett, that doesn't make you feel that's not the magic bullet you were looking for, but
Consult with the transmission
Yeah.
shop to be sure, but typically they're going to say, yeah, we found trash in the transmission. The fix you have requires a valve body, and we're not, they don't do that because they just have, they don't feel comfortable replacing just one part because it's very short-lived fix.
But if the fluid has not been flushed and they check it, they're going to be able to see that it's got a lot of debris and such in it.
And I have people come in wanting, I need my transmission fluid changed in my Rogue or my Sentra, and I'm like, because it's
Maybe.
acting up, and they say, well, yeah, my mechanic said that'd probably fix it. I said, then why doesn't your mechanic want to do it? I don't know. He just says he doesn't do that.
Just take it
exactly,
somewhere and-
because it's not going to fix it once it's already occurring. But if you've got one, it needs to be changed. It's a drain and fill, and you do that with all these CVTs. I think that's 30,000 miles on a lot of them, but you drain it, you fill it. It's a couple quarts. It's not like you're putting 16 quarts in a big transmission that's a 6-speed or something. But the CVTs, there are a couple companies out there that have them, and they're flawless, and they're very tough. A couple 100,000-mile transmissions, but
There's lots of those out there.
oh
right?
yeah, oh yeah, and they're becoming more popular, but a little more popular in their little niche. But what you're seeing more of is the multiple speeds, like 10, 12, 16, whatever you got. Big gears that are becoming more and more popular. They're finding more ways to get more ranges. They did that just to get better fuel economy. They wanted a smooth range that would go from way up here to way down here and give perfect performance. Well, when a transmission's slipping its entire life intentionally, that's not a good thing.
That's Brett, thanks very much for the call. Good luck with
It's designed
with a
to do
whole
that.
host of things.
Yeah.
Good luck. But that is interesting if you think about it that way. I don't think many people do. I think we know, a lot of people know, especially if they've driven a manual or automatic, that shifting changes your fuel mileage.
Yeah,
You know that if you run it
it's a
at
10-speed
the top
bike
of the
with
gear,
more or less
you're
gears.
going to be burning more. And the transmissions that put in 10 gears or more gears, they're just trying to find that same power with using less fuel, just like you do when you shift up or down to match the speed you're going. When they put in more gears, that's what it's doing on purpose, because a 4-gear automatic is not going to get the mileage that a 10-gear will, or a 10, right?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're.
I'm just discovering
and
this. I
customers
think.
got finicky. They wanted smooth acceleration. They didn't want to feel. It used to go from, now they've got it. You don't even hardly notice these transmissions shifting. And so
My car is a CVT, and I'm fascinated by when it decides to pretend it's shifting. I find myself testing it and seeing what's going on, and I don't know why, but
It is interesting and also kind of nice that they did that. And you've got paddle shifters, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
what?
yeah.
They're fake, but they're there. So what happens
They're
is
fake, and it changes if I don't do it, just automatically.
if you've got it in the performance mode and you're stepping on the throttle, the way it fakes that shift is it gives you a lot of torque as you're taking off. Then it lets off on the throttle for a second, and it changes the gear ratio in the transmission to a higher ratio. Instead of shifting smoothly through it, it just says, okay, we're at 20%. Now we're going to 40%. And then it puts the power back on. So it feels like you made a shift because it dropped the ratio enough that, okay, we feel a bump. We changed gears. It's totally faking it.
And real quick, if I miss shift on mine, it's faking it anyway, so there's no danger, right?
No, you can't, it's all computer controlled. You're not
Okay.
doing anything.
So if I'm in fifth and I bounce it down to second,
It'll
tell me
only
it's
go,
going.
It'll go as far as it'll say it's in that gear, but it's not actually there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
The computer's protecting it from over rev.
it does that. The switching on the dash when I'm using the paddle and I don't paddle shift, it makes me feel bad because it just counts a number. It's like
And you're like, oh,
it's like the
darn.
Yeah. Let's talk to John. You're on the Under the Hood show, John. What can we do for you?
Well, this question's for Shannon, and it kind of regards the CVT transmissions you were just talking about. I have a 2011 car, really good shape. Transmission kind of went out, so I had them put in a 3-year, 100,000-mile transmission, reman one. And wouldn't you know, about 4,000 miles later, someone run into me, an insurance company wants to total out the car. What does a recycling shop do? It just bums me out because, I wouldn't really matter if it didn't have the new transmission in it if they totaled it out, but
well,
got a brand new transmission.
Here's what happens a lot of times, and this is not fun to hear, but it is a reality of the situation, is that people will argue with an insurance company and say, hey, I just put a new transmission in here. I've got all this money invested. Because you probably spent for a reman 2011, you probably spent $6,000-$7,000 to put that in.
No, it was about 4.
Okay, all right. Well, it's regardless.
But I realize that the insurance company's not going to give you labor, but I would think they'd give a little extra for a new transmission.
Well, but here's what I was getting at. What ends up happening a lot of times, they will counter often and say, if you wouldn't have fixed your transmission, the vehicle would have been worthless and not even being driven. And without a transmission, that car has very little value. You had to fix the transmission or you have no value in the car, in a sense. You got scrap value, basically, because the car is old enough. There may not be a high demand for the parts. It's going to bring some money, but not great money. But with a different transmission in there, you could probably argue to them, if I give you, this is going to be hard. If you're selling the vehicle privately and you have that paperwork and that documentation to show what you've done, the salvage value of the vehicle is going to be increased. At our facility, if you asked us for a salvage bid and you had that documentation, we're going to pay you more money for that car than if you didn't have that documentation, because we can resell that. In our sales team we put pictures in there, we show the miles when it was replaced, we show the VIN number, and we say, hey, this is a reman unit that's got 5,000 miles on it, and we'll sell it that way. But if we don't have that documentation, we can't make those claims. And if it goes to an auction, like most of the salvage vehicles do, that paperwork will never travel with it. It'll never affect the value because nobody's going to find out unless they see it in a search, like do a Carfax, and it shows up that it was done at a shop, and they can see those things. Some people will bid and put extra value on it. The insurance company can't count on that, and so I would not expect them to give you a lot extra money, but I would definitely have those receipts. I'd have that documentation, and I think you could get an incremental argument that could get you some more money for that car.
But it's not going to be
It's not going to be
$4,000.
It's not going to be comparative to the money you spent.
Right. Sorry about that, John. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150.
Let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Don't forget, you can watch our show on our social media channels, and you can check out past episodes if you miss an episode on any podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, join the Hoodie Fan Club at underthehoodshow.com, you could win a hoodie.
Like Jared Melling, that's a mouthful over there, Chris. You were just.
I was on a roll there. I didn't know where I was, though, so I'm glad you jumped in.
Congratulations from our friends over at Berkeley One Classic, celebrating 50 years of collector car coverage, and Universal Technical Institute, UTI.edu. We had somebody we ran into the other day contacted me and said that their son had gone to UTI and
nice.
Listened to the show and saw all our stuff around campus down there on the billboards and everything, and thought that was pretty cool, and started listening to our show, and they just wanted to reach out and let me know that they listened. They got their complete automotive education there, and they got a job placement, got a job, happy as could be.
I want to thank them. One of their graduates rescued my son once on the side of the road, and he didn't even go into automotive afterwards. He did for a little bit, and he had switched jobs, but he was like, I can help you. Here you go.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Jeff. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Jeff, what can we do for you?
Hi. I've got it's a 2012 Honda Odyssey, and I was wondering, when I first got it, I changed all the fluids and filters and stuff. And but I asked a friend and did some looking online, and I couldn't see where there was a transmission filter. But just recently, for some reason, I looked on the internet, and it said there was a transmission filter. And I was wondering how important it is to change that.
Well, not all, depending on the vehicle, not all of them have an accessible transmission filter. They may have one, or it may just be a screen, but it requires disassembly of the transmission in order to get to it. Some transmissions have a spin-on external filter. If they have those, it's important to change that and drain and fill the fluid on that transmission. I believe that one's just a drain. Odyssey should be a drain and fill with no filter.
Yeah, I know
it's
they don't.
internal.
Pretty sure no flush on that one.
Yeah, you got to take it apart to change it, so you don't change that one. So it's just drain and fill, but you need to follow the recommendations for drain and fill. A lot of them are 30,000 miles. So they're being drained and filled a lot. It needs to be done. So watch that. But if it's an internal filter like that, no, you don't change that. It's permanent. It's built in. It's only replaced during a rebuild, and a lot of those don't get rebuilt.
And if you start having a filter clogged, it's because you probably have some significant issues.
Yeah, filters don't clog. People ask us all the time, well, do you need to change my filter when you flush that transmission? Let's say a 13 Sierra truck. No, we don't, because when we're hooked up to it, we can tell. Our pressure gauges will tell us what's going on. And if it's clogged, your transmission's already done. It's gone too far. It's just there to protect the other hard parts.
I was just going to ask, what's the filter for then?
It filters out.
It's for up until it's clogged.
Yeah, any little pieces that would be in that transmission, like specks of stuff,
it saved
that would jam a valve body and not allow it to shift
until it's clogged.
It's protecting that.
Sometimes there's things from assembly and machining that can be remnants, and it can catch some of those things.
Yeah, there'll always be something in there that's and on the magnet, but it shouldn't clog it and slow that fluid down at all, and it should last the lifetime of the transmission. We used to change them in old Turbo 350 in 1980 something. We'd pull the trans pan, put a filter kit in it, put it back on. You know, I miss those days. It's a whole different thing. I mean, I remember taking I took a transmission out one time in my buddy's car. He says, it's the 79 Grand Prix. It won't shift. It's slipping. Oh, we can fix it. And I had no idea what I was doing, and I just got a Shilton guide from ABC Auto Parts and looked at the thing, and I took it apart, and I bought a kit, and we were improvising things with 3 hands holding down plates to pull parts. We put it all together, and it shifted pretty hard, but that was okay when you're younger. You wanted to bark tires in second gear.
Shifted was the main thing.
But it shifted all the gears, and he drove it until he hit a deer about 2 years later.
Oh, dear.
Does that help you out there, Jeff?
Yeah. So even regular cars like say like a 2010 Grand Marquis, I know it's got the filter in the transmission.
Yep. Don't need to change that. Just flush with a machine.
Just flush. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that helps a lot.
Perfect, Jeff. Thanks very much for the call. I have a question because I don't know the answer because I wasn't involved back then. Was there a time when the internet was a good source of questions like that?
Never, I don't think.
I mean, because we've talked about it. You know, go to a Ford. Go to a Ford group that does.
For me, no internet. I specifically remember starting to look on the internet for a few things. Period, in about 1995. So
yeah,
it was like I knew it existed, but I wasn't going there. And once we had it for about 2 years, I had access where I was at one place for a couple of years. I was like, well, what's the internet for? Oh, anything you want. And I'm like, whatever. And then I looked and I went, this is all worthless. It's just like one person's opinion. I didn't see anything real. It was at that point, it was still opinions. The .com era hadn't exploded quite yet.
Yeah.
So you didn't have Ford and big auto parts places putting good information out there, and YouTube wasn't even there.
One thing that is changing it, though, that I watch this, I'll go to, you used to go to Google. I'll just pick Google, and fun to say, and you'd get information, and you learned yourself kind of how to filter through the information of, oh, this isn't nothing.
Yeah.
And this, okay, this is my exact car. Oh, I think this person's pretty legit what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd tune in and get the whole thing. Like, there it is. That's what it is. With AI, and you start getting the AI overview if you do the Google Chrome and you have that AI overview is what's coming up first most all the time. I like reading through that, but make sure you click on the show more, because it breaks down, and what they're doing is they're quickly letting AI search all those places, and they're kind of summarizing what the majority of the opinions are. Then it'll say, we also see people doing this. It's a good summarization, which kind of gets you up to speed a little bit quicker, but don't take it as the gospel yet. I've seen a couple that are complete tricks, but overall, when you can watch an AI, and one of our employees we were just talking to, and they had a friend with a health problem, and they put their X-rays into an AI system, and got back a very detailed report. They went to their doctor that they know and went over it, and the doctor said, it's pretty spot on.
Wow.
With what in that situation. We're going to continue to see evolution in that with auto repair also.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll give do-it-yourselfers an opportunity to get up to speed quicker, but you still got to be so careful.
But if you get on, if he goes to a discussion board and says, hey, does my Honda Odyssey have a transmission filter? It's the first response is going to be,
Yes.
those things are junk. Why don't you get a Grand Wagoneer? That was way better. And it's not.
Well, if it responds, yes,
Yeah.
the transmission filter is located within the transmission. They all are. It's like, what about disassembly?
Yeah, that's a gross generality at that point.
Yeah.
But I think with the AI stuff, you're going to see a better summarization, and it'll still take you for a ride. Be careful, but it can get you up to speed quicker, I think.
Let's go here and quick talk to Doug. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Doug in Oregon, welcome to the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Hey guys, I really enjoy your show. I really like that one. I think it was Shannon's dad. A couple weeks ago, he explained how he started your business.
Yeah.
Yeah, Russ did that interview when I was out of town and Chris was out of town. He had my mom and dad here. It took me about a month before I listened to the whole thing. I was out in the garage working and I put it on and I just smiled because it was really good. And it's a good precursor to a book that my mom is writing, and we're starting to get some chapters back. They're getting the rough drafts put together, done all the interviews. This has been it'll be a year in the making fairly soon, but there is a book coming out that'll talk about their beginnings and starting the business and then kind of ramping up to where we're at today. It's gonna be fun.
I hope there's something she drops in there at the end, like how she hasn't told anybody, but she was like a, secret operations person for the government for just like a year and a half, didn't tell anybody, and now's the time.
I told her when they'll do an audio. They always do audio now too. And when somebody else is reading it or the AI is reading it, I said, you should drop in your actual voice several times through the book, at least once a chapter.
I want her to read it.
Well, that would be great too.
I want her to be the
because
audiobook.
it's got to be either her reading the whole thing or, when something happens, because when you hear her say one of the things that she has said for, my 30 years here, I'm like, it's different than somebody else repeating it. It's so cool.
Well, Doug, thanks for that recognition of that being pretty cool. We've actually, I'm not surprised, but a lot of really good feedback from that.
Now, what can we do for you?
Well, I got a couple of years on your dad. I was born in 41, so I'm still working on my cars.
Oh, awesome.
Good.
Awesome.
And I got a '01 Camry, and the speedometer is growling, so I need to lube that cable. And I wondered if you guys could talk me through how to pull that cover off the speedometer. I know there's two screws in the, you take those out, and then that whole piece of the dash comes out.
Doug, I don't think that has a cable.
No, it's electric. And we've had zero problems with those over the years, so I've never had to take a dash apart on one of those cars. That's one of the few that I've not had to take out, but it's not a cable. It's electric.
Unless you know differently.
But it's got an electric motor running it.
Unless you know differently than which is very possible that they had, because some of those they hung onto a cable for quite a while, but I don't think an '01 Camry was one of them.
It's not a manual trans, is it?
No.
Yeah, then it's electric, because we've put some transmissions in those, and I've not seen a cable on one of those, but it's got I believe it's got an electric motor running that speedometer, and it could be making noises.
As far as getting the cluster out of there, if you how many miles you got on the car, Doug?
75,000.
It could be running slow on the odometer because it's growling. No, 75,000 is low miles, and you want to be able to have that mileage accurately accounted for. And so I think that's not like Russ said, it's not a common failure one. But I bet you if you got onto Cardash Part, are you an internet guy or not?
No.
Get somebody to help you and go on to cardashpart.com and look up a speedometer cluster for your car. They can search for that part. And I have a hunch that you'll find somewhere that someone has one on a shelf that they've taken out years ago and for some reason just haven't cleaned that shelf off yet. And it's got similar miles. You could probably find one with 80,000 miles on it, or 72 or 77. And at that age of the car, I wouldn't get too shook up about that. You're not creating a federal case here. You're just fixing your problem.
Yeah.
And you could keep that low mileage and replace that entire cluster. And taking that head unit out of there, that entire cluster, there's trim that snaps around there. Usually it's pressure clips to take it off. Sometimes they're a little tricky because they'll hide a screw into a dash vent or something like that. Once again, there's if you go to the library, you can find a manual that'll probably show an operation, how to get that out of there in a repair manual. If not, somebody that can also help you, go to the internet. That there'd be a YouTube video. You can watch somebody take one out so you can know how to do it. But switching that part would not be hard, and it's probably not going to cost you very much either. But I don't think there's anything you're going to be able to lubricate to get rid of that growl. Maybe give it a few thumps on the dash. maybe it'll get better.
Going to a You Pull It, there's going to be a million of those sitting there.
The problem there is going to be finding one with those miles, if he cares.
Can you certify it? Or
you're not. Once you start switching your odometer, I don't know about
Yeah.
certification, but he's old enough that the odometer rules don't even apply really.
Okay,
after
on an 01.
After
yeah.
10 years, 11 years is not as big of a worry for
No.
federal odometer stuff. You just have to mark it not actual if you wanted to.
And if he wants to, he just has to convince the
take
person
a picture
that
of it,
he's
and put a
honest.
note in the glove box. I switched the odometer. Here's the old one. Here's the new one. It's got 1,200 miles difference on it.
Doug, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Join the Motor Medics on Facebook, facebook.com/Under the Hood Show. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's go to Arizona and talk to Gerald. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Gerald, what can we do for you?
Oh, good morning. I got a little problem with my Volvo XC90 2008, and I have a situation that happens occasionally where it will, when you start it, it will surge and kind of diesel, has no response to throttle. You turn it off completely, start it, and everything's normal. And this has happened maybe 5 or 6 times. So I don't know if it's, I kind of doubt if the fuel pump is more like a response to the ignition system. I'm not sure. So I thought I'd get your input on that.
Gerald, let's just get a little more info on your Volvo. What model of motor? What do you got going on there?
Is it 90?
Okay, it's a 6, straight 6 on it.
Yeah, it's a XE90.
Yes,
Yeah, so that we just haven't had problems with those. We do timing belts when they get old on those, but as far as running wise, it seems like everyone we've ever and there's not as many out there. We have very few customers with these, but the ones that have them, they got a lot of miles on them, over 200, and they've all lasted really well.
My sister runs Volvos and
Yeah.
just loves them.
No problems. I mean, they do have problems. Yes, don't get me wrong there, but as far as our customers, we have not had the opportunity to have to fix them. We do brakes and shocks and tires, and that's about it. A blower motor now and then for the interior fan, but I mean, I'm telling you, that engine just runs and runs and runs. It's been a really good engine as long as the timing belt doesn't fall off. Then it's time for a new engine, which will keep running until the timing belt breaks.
So that's been my experience. They're a great engine.
Yeah.
The only problem with the Volvo, a couple years prior to that, was transmissions. But other than the engine, it's very reliable. So I'm.
You're gonna have to have a
wondering
good
what
shop.
is-
Take a peek, when it's acting up, see what they can find.
Yeah,
for you.
they're gonna have to watch the data to see. I know Russ says watch the data all the time, and we're like, what do I watch? But when they've got a scanner on it and they can see what's happening, if you could. Here, we say this a lot, but it's so important. If you can replicate that, if you know that every second start it's going to do that, when Russ and his crew see that at the shop, they can say, "Good, I'm gonna put my scanner on it, and I'm gonna start this thing. I'm gonna watch what's going on," and then they can see that, oh, I got low fuel pressure right here, and it's surging fuel pressure up and down. What in the heck is going on? Or they might see that well, that's weird. Everything looks like it's spot on, but it's doing this. If I put my foot on the brake, then it changes. Oh, maybe they've got something going on with the vacuum here, because you're affecting it with the vacuum booster if it's got vacuum brakes. But you start being able to do some investigating with it, the problem live, and it could come out that, gosh, this is weird. I don't see anything going on, but let's go check the wiring harness. There's got to be a wire here somewhere that's getting a bad ground. Let's start at the
Just like
battery.
any other car,
Those are the type of things you start doing. So, beginning things would be check your battery connections, make sure your grounds are all good. There's no corrosion on the ground strap leaving off the battery. Just some of that kind of stuff where you could be getting a voltage irregularity. Start there, but if not, since it is doing it frequently and you can replicate it, they should be able to put a finger on this pretty quick.
Does that help you out there, Gerald?
Well, that was my thought. Possibility of electrical grounding. It does it very infrequently under different circumstances. And the different circumstances would be low fuel, high fuel. But it's hard to pin down because it's not a consistent problem.
Yeah, and if you're not getting any check engine lights and the vehicle typically runs just fine, if you go into a shop and it doesn't replicate for you, you're just, in my opinion, going to be wasting their time and your money, because they're going to charge you for their time.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to take your money. And so that's hard, but it's the reality of the situation. If they're going to not find a problem. Otherwise, they can look and go to what's the dealer or the repairman technician, the network.
That one.
What's it like?
IATN, International Automotive Technicians.
But there's
Network.
a few of those types of things where if, say it's a Volvo dealer,
Identifix.
they might be able to say, you know what? We've seen this on
They
this
have
model.
a Volvo forum for technicians
Yeah.
through the company.
Or maybe you jump on a Volvo Facebook group. There's plenty of that stuff out there for about anything
Or
you're
our
interested
Under the
in.
Hood Show car question
Car
group.
question group, and you just
There's
say,
a lot of mechanics there.
I've got this
Yeah.
model, it's doing this. Has anybody run across anything? And then somebody might say, yeah, the secondary vacuum pump goes bad. You don't, whatever it might happen to be, and you replace that and your problem's going to go away because you can just tell that, nope, that's it. I've seen this before. I've had this happen. But otherwise, you're going to be spinning your wheels.
Gerald, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Richard. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Richard, what can we do for you?
Hello, gentlemen. My daughter has an '01 Trailblazer LS, and we have an issue with the dash. Every now and then, as you're driving, the temp, the oil, the battery, and the gas gauge all go down to zero, and your battery light comes on and all these other lights come on, but nothing's wrong with the car when you're driving it. Everything continues to work properly. If you smash the dash a couple of times, it comes on, but then it will shut right back off or go right back down to zero right away. I was wondering if that's a ground issue somewheres or...
It's a dash issue. That huge problems with the dashboard in GM truck platforms like that from 99 to 2008, 9.
Is this like the opposite of that Camry call where these all do it and there's a bunch of companies that can help him? The Camry was not many odometers get
Our
weird.
partner, Dorman Products, sells this gauge cluster among thousands of others.
Yeah.
It's a very common issue. You just go to your auto parts store, you give them your VIN and your miles, they order one up for you, boom, you put it in, take the core, put it back. There's no programming. It's plug and play solution from Dorman Products. You drop it in, you're good to go. That's the way to do it. And they're
just replace the dash then.
Yeah, that whole gauge set, and they're pretty cheap, really. They're very affordable. They used to be like $700-800 when that first started happening, and then they learned about it. Then the market got saturated with them, and then they became very affordable for all years.
Yeah, and it's an easy do-it-yourself repair. And while you're in there, then, of course, when you take it out, double-check you might pop it out first just to double-check the harness connector that's on the back of the cluster.
It's a snap-in on the
very
top.
unusual for one of them to not be seated well or connected well. But maybe just unplug it, reconnect it, get the connections good again, and then take it out and drive it and see if the problem goes away.
Yeah.
Maybe you get fortunate, but if not, then that's more than likely where you're going to end up at.
Richard, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Yeah, is that I mean, when we were talking about the Camry a few minutes ago, there isn't an easy pop-in. I mean, there's not a bunch of companies that do it because that was not a problem.
Doesn't fail that often.
Right.
Supply and demand works.
Yeah.
And when there's a demand, supply will come.
Do you remember when Russ was a young man and he said, just pop it out and resolder all those leads? There's only 40 or 50 leads. It's a piece of cake. Now you're like, you know what? Just have someone else do it. Have someone else just pop it out and pop a new one.
That's called wisdom, Chris.
I think in his wisdom, he just finally had somebody pour concrete for him instead of doing it himself.
I did.
That'll do it for this hour of the Under the Hood Show. Thanks for listening. You can always find us at underthehoodshow.com. All right, this is the after show. I want to go back for a second to talk. If you're still on Doug, if he's on the YouTube feed in Oregon, if I brought in my car,
He'll hear us on the podcast too,
Yeah,
because
there
this
you go.
goes on to the podcast, so he'll
maybe unless I say something there, you're like,
Well,
hey,
Doug,
don't put
Doug
that.
wasn't on the internet.
Well, you don't know that
because
No,
he's
yeah,
not a
I
computer
asked him.
guy. He says, "I don't know computers."
I
right?
asked him. You said you on the.
That's right.
Yeah, I asked him. Are you on the
Yeah.
internet? And he said no.
That's right.
I asked him that. So I'm guessing that we had.
Or maybe I'm thinking of the Volvo. Was he the Volvo?
I think Gerald with his Volvo might be on the internet.
That's the one I'm thinking.
Yeah.
of.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's my question. Gerald comes in. He's like, hey, I'm from Oregon. I'm passing through.
Arizona. for him.
Arizona.
Yeah, we'll get it right. It's all good.
It's all you. I like it that you take notes.
Yeah.
Either way,
I know. Listen, I have this problem, and I know it happens the fourth or fifth time we start it. Okay, I've really I know it's gonna happen within 4 or 5 times. How long do I get from you to come out and see? Do I get it? Do I get the first 10 minutes free?
I say, "Oh, you're from Arizona? You're passing through? I can get you in 3 weeks."
You don't, though. I mean, depending. But how long? Okay, so I go. But I mean, how long?
No,
Let's say
seriously?
you have the time.
How about he lives in town,
Okay, yeah,
a
he's
block away?
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
gonna
just
go out
in
and start
the
it.
general sense.
I'm going to go out and start it and listen and see if it does it. And if it doesn't do it, I'm going to say, you bring it back when it does it every single time, every single day. Because I don't need to just see it, Chris. I need to have it concurrently happen for me as I am testing it.
Right.
Because if I get in the darn car and I turn the key on and it goes click, click, click and doesn't start, okay, I'm going to go get my equipment. I'm going to put it on the car and set it up. And now it's going to work.
But it happens every 4th or 5th time.
It doesn't matter. It's got to happen, not work, so I can see it, fix it, and then verify that fix. And verify that fix is,
It's gonna.
well, I'll try it. It's, you know what it's going to do?
Or
It's
do
going
I?
to start 4 or 5 times. He's going to take it, and as soon as he gets home, he's going to call me back and say, I just spent $500 and it didn't fix it. It's like, well, I took this part off, and I saw all those burnt contacts. I showed that to you. Well, yeah, I saw that too, but it didn't fix it.
So, so what I should do is I should go to Russ.
You wait until it's dead.
Well, no, I do it 3. I start it 3 times, and then I go in and go. It happens every other time, and it's going to happen.
And I'm going to try to verify that. And
And
if
then-
I
if
don't,
If it
does.
doesn't, he's stopping or
Yep.
charging you.
yep, exactly.
So you get 2. I get 2 times. Just turn it on, turn it off,
You
and then he goes back
can't
in.
believe how many
mad,
people, Chris, just say,
and then I just go 3 more times.
I can live with it. When I tell them I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
charge you to find out what's wrong with it, they're like, oh, I can live with it.
So I was thinking about that odometer. How loud would that odometer have to growl before you would?
Let's put this into perspective. He was older than my dad by 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's 82. Doug was a spry 86 then, right? Somewhere in there. Well, he said born in 41.
84, maybe 85, yeah.
Yeah. And
83, 84, yeah.
well, yeah, there we go. Thank you for the math. And he is telling us that he has a loud growling
Yeah.
speedometer.
Yeah.
I think that is pretty loud.
Must be.
It'd be, my 56-year-old hearing would be a little loud.
Yeah.
And then my son would get in the car and say, "What is that?"
Yeah. You don't hear that? Dad?
Yeah, so just put into perspective
Yeah,
a little
good
bit
point.
there.
It only has 77,000 miles on it. Does it, or is it?
Is it been running slow because it's
Right.
growling?
Exactly. It's pinched.
It's
That's
like
why.
every half mile it goes
Click.
Yeah. Every 2 miles, I mean, it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And maybe it's not making
Like the old
noise.
gas station sign. It slowly flips over.
Might be your hearing aids. I have some people with hearing aids and they hear stuff and they want me to drive their car. I'm like, I don't hear it. They're like, what do you mean you don't hear it? I'm like, I don't hear it because whatever you're hearing is amplified by hearing aids. If you ever put on Shooter's headphones or something, you turn them up, you can hear weird stuff that sounds like it's doing something that it's not supposed to be doing. Or when we turn the microphones up in here, you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
I can't hear my hand, rubbing on the counter, but if I turn the headphones way up, I hear.
We've got a few people in our business here who've been playing around with modern hearing aids. These new ones are crazy. They cost a bunch of money, but that's one of the complaints that I got was they said that any pinging or clanging of like a little rock underneath the vehicle is like amplified, like it was in a tin can until they got the settings just right where they could adjust for that. But yet you're exactly right. That can really amplify things.
I've had people come in with hearing aids and I look to see, are you wearing hearing aids? Because like my car makes this noise. I'm like, no, it doesn't. And sometimes I learn to break it to them easy. Sometimes hearing aids can amplify that. And most of the time they'll say, oh, you mean like when I'm on the phone and it makes that weird? I'm like, exactly. Oh, okay. Just want to make sure it's safe.
And some of the new ones, it might be getting a noise from your phone. Your phone might be the microphone. If you bump the setting, my daughter has a hearing aid, and she has settings that if she bumps it wrong on the app, it can put the phone on the mic. So it has a setting so you can take your phone and set it or point it at the person you're talking to, and it gives the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's right.
They're
That's pretty neat.
they're amazing.
Technology's amazing on that stuff. And if you see somebody that you think is talking to themselves, they might just be using the Bluetooth of their hearing aids talking to somebody on the phone.
I always just assume they are.
Yeah.
And then I get in trouble because I'm at a place where they need to, they're like, let me see your license and registration. I'm like, this guy must be on his phone. And then he's knocking on the glass. Put your window down. And I'm like, I'm a sovereign citizen.
You talking to me?
You know
You're talking to me?
We've got some young men here that are working this summer. They're around the area here. They're the high school kids that are graduating or getting ready to graduate, and they come out and do summer work. And they're a fun bunch of young men. And yesterday, they were driving up through the parking lot, and I was going to a customer's place to check in on them because we had a problem with them. And I wanted to tell them something, but I was kind of in a hurry, so I zoomed up behind them and honked the horn. And they stopped. And as I got out, I was answering a text, put my vehicle in park, and I walked up to them. When I got to the vehicle, they all had their hands up. There was 4 of them sitting in there, and their windows were down, and they all had their hands up, and they were looking straight ahead. It made me laugh pretty hard. It was
the young ones they're a lot different. Like I told you when we were out in the hills, and I said, oh, we found a phone with a cord and a dial. I said, do you know what this is? And they said, 2 of them went, what? And the oldest one said, well, that's a phone. It's like, it's a cord on it. I'm like, yeah, see, it's a telephone. We used to have these on the wall. And I said, okay, now dial your phone number. Or I said, how do you call yourself? I didn't want to say dial, but I said, how do you call yourself? Well, I don't know. I said, do you know your phone number? Yeah. I said, just put your phone number in here like you're going to call me.
Yeah, they try to push it. I've done that.
Yeah, they're like, I'm like, nope, that doesn't work. They're like, what? And I turned it and they went, why do you got to wait so long? It was great if the number
was a 1.
If the number was 236-302, it's easy, the short ones, but it's like, well, my number's 1 0 0
When I was a kid, they changed the numbers of the radio stations. So they all started with 989. I was so mad. How am I going to win Night Ranger tickets if I have to dial 989 first? Using Sparks to call your friends.
Yeah, that was nuts. They those things. We were talking about, so earlier, Chris and I off the air, and then Shannon, we were talking about a old contest they started years ago when I was a kid, this Hands on a Hard Body, and they made a documentary about it, and then everybody started doing it everywhere, I think, but maybe that wasn't the first one, but it was one of them where you put your hands on a car and you win it if you're there the longest. But then it popped up. Chris remembered the Biosphere. B-O.
I remember you telling us about this.
Where I worked at a nightclub we had this Geo Metro, and it was donated by the car dealership, Terry Schulte Chevrolet at the time. And we put this thing on the
they've just
dance
recently
floor.
sold their dealership interest in town. Otherwise, they've had dealerships in the area for a long, long time.
So we put this thing out on the dance floor, and people won the chance to get in the car. I think it was 7 or 8 people, may have been 7, in a Geo. That was pushing it to begin with. Well, after 5 or 6 hours, just like what happens with the hard body truck, half the people are like, I am not going the distance. These people are going to stand here forever. I can't do it. And there's a lot of psychosis that starts getting in your head when you're sleep deprived for 3 days.
And we should point out in this.
Are we sure we're going to tell this?
Oh, no, that's fine.
This one's
so
fine.
With the Geo.
But they got food delivered to them.
Yes.
But they had to keep everything inside.
Every single thing that went in the car
I remember this.
stayed
To
in
a certain extent,
the car.
I remember this.
So food was coming in, pizza boxes, wrappers. It was starting to fill up right away. It was like within the first 6 or 7 hours, it was down to 5 people in the car. And then it was down to 4 within 48 hours. But then those 4 hung out and hung out and hung out. 2 of the people were sick. They came down with the flu or something. They were sick. And whatever went into the car stayed in the car. It was disgusting. It was so bad that during the hours of operation, we required the windows to be up in the car because the smell was horrid. And when the car was done, it was executive touch detailing, I believe it was. I don't think Lickety Split
No, Executive
had
Touch was owned by Terry Schulte.
Yeah, and I don't know if they did it or if it was Lickety Split. It was Roger. Roger had Lickety Split, right?
Yeah.
He's passed on now.
Yep.
Yeah, 12th Street.
Yep.
They had to clean the car. I think we contacted you out here to buy seats and carpet for that car. Do you remember that?
Probably.
Yeah, it was disgusting. It was just, it was horrible. But these people hung it out in this car for like a whole week.
5 days?
Yeah.
8 days?
Yeah, like a week. It was 2 weekends we went through.
And then what did they get? They got 5 minutes out an hour and 10 minutes every 6 hours or 20 minutes. There was rules
there was
like
very
that.
little they couldn't.
Yeah.
But in the end, nobody got out of the car because they're like, I got to win this, and then we're down.
They'd went so far.
Yeah, but people were passing drinks into the car and stuff, so they're in there, and eventually people are like, well, not getting out because
you don't have to.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was the car contest. I guess what I'm getting at is the car contest to win a car over all the years has been crazy. Some of the stuff we did, and we did it with a Resurrected Ride giveaway, and we thought we had a lot of people register for it, but we thought it would be even bigger. We're giving away a nice customized car. It should have raised this all started my thought because the Miracle Treat Day and the giveaways and raising money. It's like that was for MDA. We thought that was going to raise millions.
$100,000, each time.
And it raised some pretty good money. And I remember Bruno Baldwin won it. Dwayne Walk won it. Some of the other people, the guy from Brandon with the Mitsubishi, I should remember.
Yeah,
his
we
name,
got pictures of all of it somewhere.
Yeah, hanging on the wall.
Didn't they put somebody up on a crane too for a while?
That was Dan Ferris.
That was just to that was the DJs.
Yeah.
That wasn't a contest. It was for fun. For like
Dan Ferris you had the platform.
I know.
You made it.
I think we still have the platform.
It was behind.
No,
my
I think
shop.
Fegan Construction made the platform.
Oh, I thought. Well, why
we
did
just
end up with
we
it?
just ended up with it.
Okay, because it was behind our place.
I think Pat Carnicle worked at Fegan Construction from Garrettson, and I think that's how we ended up with it.
JD Byrider. It was in the parking lot there, up on the hoist over by the zoo. So, but it was hanging up in the air, and they were doing their in a van, doing the broadcast from the van high above.
Oh, bless his soul, Dan.
Just the crazy stuff that some of these people have done. But back, in the 80s, there was some people were really trying to feel their way and find what the big contest.
We had
was
some
gonna
big
be.
personalities around in this area back then.
Yeah, and just all over there were some great ones, and we're thinking, hey, we could come up with a great Under the Hood show contest and film it. It's like I don't know if I'd have the stamina to stick it out and watch these people, but it's
video cameras.
We need to build a trebuchet. Is what we need to do.
Well, and that would be
launch
fun
cars.
too.
That's all we need to do.
That'd be fun too.
Shannon, our YouTube channel will go off. I want to launch a car like the pumpkin launch on a trebuchet. It's funny. I've told you. Come on, we could
I
launch
know,
it. We could launch it.
There's an episode, Chris. Go to.
My favorite
I
part
have
is
cars.
My,
Google
my favorite part is I go, hey guys, I have an idea for our YouTube channel. Let's launch cars on a trebuchet. Russ, could you build a trebuchet? Yes.
I watched an episode of Northern Exposure. You Google it, you'll
Sure.
find the one with the trebuchet, and they were launching, old grandma's piano,
Yeah.
and cars, and
That's my real.
snowblower.
That's going to be my
everything they could get, and what's cool about those is not a catapult, Shannon. The trebuchet is the same kind of principle, but it's got a long rope and it drags whatever it has across the ground
And
a long way,
launches it.
and then it spins it and gives it a
Whips it.
throw. They've got
Yeah,
a
look
new
that up.
version that somebody came up with. You've seen the space launcher, haven't you, Chris? The spin launcher.
Yeah.
This thing,
How do you spell this?
SPIN. So it's
No.
got a big drum.
I'm surprised he didn't say THIS.
What is it? TRE.
I was so quick that you nailed that.
TREB
UCHET. Yeah. There we go.
Trebuchet.
It's French.
Listen,
No, they spin.
I've said this.
They spin
Listen.
it around and they throw
that
things into
reminds you-
space.
Oh, that reminds me. Our dad used to drive us crazy all the time coming up for the races. We'd go across the railroad tracks in Colton or Crooks. Railroad crossing, watch out for the cars. Can you spell that without any R's? And we'd be sitting there for, and then he'd go, THAT?
Yeah.
We're like, oh!
Listen, I don't even want to say it because it's such a great idea. We need to launch pianos with the trebuchet. And here's why.
Because they're all junk.
Because they're all free.
Yeah,
exactly. Nobody wants
Go to Facebook Marketplace. Everyone's got a free piano.
But we'd have to they got to bring it to us.
Yeah.
You just gotta convince
We'd
them
have a
that we
pile
want
of
to
'em.
play. Because
We'd
I don't
just
think
burn 'em.
I don't think anybody wants to give you a piano to launch. But so you'd have to go and go. Oh, thank you. I've always wanted this. A
You
piano.
ever seen a piano burning? Like somebody burns one?
I don't think so.
Yeah, with a big
You
pile of
see 'em?
junk. They're
All I can
eerie
think
because
is-
when they're burning and the pile's burning and the wood's starting to collapse, you start hearing like the keys and ding, 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 ding. It's crazy.
That's
they're
how
like
they write pop
singing
music
their
these
death
days.
song.
That's how they write top 40 music.
There you go.
Everybody's too.
All right.
Talk about pop music.
I think we should stop now.
I haven't known that song for a long time. What is that? Pop music.
Pop music.
Pop music
Yeah.
M.
Is that
by
who,
M. Yeah.
Is that who sang that?
I think
Yep,
so.
and
Yeah.
Popcorn by Hot Butter. Doop, 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 doop. No, we can't do that. YouTube will pick it up.
Oh, geez. Never mind.
We'll credit that one to Popcorn by Hot Butter.
All right.
1962.
Get outta here.
The video's even worse.
See you later.
Video in 1962.
Yeah, it's awful. Look up the video for Popcorn by Hot Butter. You'll go, what?
Don't look
the-"
up anything. Don't.
No, not us.
Oh, okay.
People.
All right.
YouTubers.
All right. That'll do it.
YouTubers.
I think
The
we gotta-
YouTubers.
We missed the boat on
I
YouTube,
think we
guys,
went
because
too
we had a
long.
YouTube
I think
channel
we
when there
went
was
too
less than
long
a million
already.
people on YouTube.
I know.
And
This segment could get some laughs from people if they actually would listen to it.
people go right past our show and watch the end of it.
Thank
It's
you.
nuts. Thanks.
Go to
By
the
the
ending.
we're missing like 2 subscribers, so come on, people.
To get to 8,000?
Yeah, it's not updating. It was stuck at the same.
Oh, it's
at
very
75 for
Yeah.
days.
What's it at, Chris?
Does it say 72 or 75?
7.98.
Yeah, it's stuck.
Oh.
It's when you go to the actual display thing, it hasn't. The videos are updating, but that number isn't. So as soon as it pops
It's
up-
higher.
It's possible that it's not moving, Russ.
No, it is moving because you can look at the counter on the live count. If you go to that, you can actually see where it's at. But we're just a few short.
Well, hey, help us out here. Get us.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to get to 10 grand. I mean, 8's nice.
Oh, that
but
would be
get us
helpful
to
for the
10.
channel.
Come on. We're at least good enough for that, aren't we?
Why would you ask that question?
Because
We
that's
might not
the way
be.
my brain thinks.
Have you ever loved anyone as much as you've loved me? What? What?